Hey guys, I am back today. We've got the Conquest data mine coming in. So Conquest is starting on Monday, and this is the series that we are playing to earn Queen Amidala. And all of the feats have officially been data mined. So we can go over everything in the data mine, go over what I'm thinking is going to work for some teams here, and just kind of get our game plan ready for Monday. All right, so as usual, before we hop in though, I do want to say thank you to my patrons. I obviously super appreciate your support. It's been really great having you around, and it truly, truly do appreciate it. So thank you. Okay, so like I said, the Conquest feats have been data mined as per SWGOH events. They are on the Discord server there. They're also on the H&N Discord server. So that is that. Obviously, this is not the best to look at. If you want a copy of this, it is, like I said, on the H&N Discord server. I have it pinned in the Conquest channel. It's also on the SWGOH events Discord server if you are on that one. The key thing to know is, as of right now, the data mine is showing that we can only skip 33 key cards instead of the usual 34. So you want to keep that in mind when you're planning. To plan to skip 33, not 34. Whether or not that is intentional, obviously we don't know yet. It does look like the Sector 5 boss is missing a point on one of the feats. But other than that, again, don't know if it's intentional, don't know if it's a mistake, but plan to skip 33 feats when you're planning this. Okay, so let's go into the game. I want to start with the global feats because they're kind of interesting, and honestly, there's a lot of double dipping, triple dipping, etc. that is going to be really easy to go through with this Conquest series. Okay, so first things first, as usual, defeat at least 250 enemies on the Golden Challenge path. Again, that is the path that happens along the top and bottom of the nodes while you're making your way through the sector. The nodes are outlined in like a golden hue, so that is the one that you want to use. That is 15 key cards. Defeat 600 B1 battle droids. So this is really interesting. So there is a boss node in one of the sectors. I believe it's Sector 4. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. It's either Sector 3 or Sector 4. That is a B1 battle droid itself. And part of the modifier on that boss also summons more B1 droids. And you can choose when to have the battle end. So obviously we're going to be able to use that boss for this feat, 600 B1 battle droids. My question on this is hopefully they are counting stacks and not just the droid itself. So if we have 100 stacks of a B1, hopefully that counts as 100 defeats, not one defeat. Hopefully I'm making sense in my questioning of it. I'm also curious if this is coded specifically for the boss node, or if we come across a General Grievous droid team that has B1 on it, if that would count towards it. I would assume it would. In which case, honestly, I would come back and do this feat after you've made your way through through Conquest entirely, because if you come across any B1 battle droids in your nodes, then obviously that's going to take away from how many you need to do on the boss feat later on. Okay, moving on. Win 40 battles with a full squad of Galactic Republic characters. That's going to be pretty straightforward. Win 20 battles with Kelleran, Beck, and IG-12 and Grogu surviving. Again, pretty straightforward when it comes to that. Win 20 battles with a full squad of light side Mandalorians surviving. So this is the same that we had last time. And it is going to be 1 point that gives you the consumable overprepared 1, which gets you the other 15 points once you use that consumable. And then the other global feat is defeat 50 enemies with stop, which gets you 1 point and the booming voice. And then you get your 15 points once you use the booming voice 60 times. So I'm assuming that is going to be a data disk. Okay, so that is the global feat overview. Light side Mandos, like I said, this is a repeat from the last series. I was able to do this feat with this exact squad up top. So Bo-Katan, Lead, Armorer, Bam, Sabine, and the Mandalorian. I did this on the Sector 1 Datacron node, so it should be pretty straightforward again to do as as the same with that if you don't have Bo-Katan Mandalore. If you do, obviously you're probably going to go ahead and do a Bo-Katan team. And then you probably also don't need to worry about doing it on the Sector 1 Datacron node as well. So again, like I said, pretty straightforward. Galactic Republic, this is going to be really, really straightforward as well. I like this because it's actually going to double dip into Sector 1 and Sector 2 really easily. So Padme lead, again, really like this feat. It's going to double dip into Sector 2 because we have win 14 battles there with no attackers on the squad, and this Padme team has no attackers on the squad, which makes it a little bit nice. If we have Zealous Ambition as a data disk available, you want to keep that in mind because then this Padme squad is going to hit insanely hard. And then, of course, you have your JMK team. I did purposely leave Kat off of this. You obviously can do it, but in Sector 1, you need to defeat enemies with Jedi units. So I just left her off of it to have a full Galactic Republic Jedi squad. If you want to put her there, by all means, do it. It's going to count either way. And then you can also do like a Keller and Beck lead Jedi team, which is also going to go ahead and double dip into some other feats that we'll get into later on. Okay, so then we want Keller and Beck and IG-12 to survive, like I mentioned earlier. My first thought is you could put them under a Rey squad. Since they are light side, they're going to take advantage of the damage immunity she gives out, so you can keep them alive that way. And hopefully, have Rey and just kind of Whirlwind and Ben kill off the enemies and win that way. Shock I chose to put there just because she's able to heal them, so kind of give them a little bit of more survivability if needed. You could also, though, if you don't have super high geared Beck and IG-12 yet, if Volatile Accelerator and Amplify Agony are a thing, which cross our fingers it is, Bam Han Chewie is going to make this work pretty smoothly, since once you get those discs set up, you'll be able to go in and have Bam Han and Chewie just kind of nuke the enemy squad, and Keller and Beck and IG-12 can just tag along for the ride. Okay, so then you have defeating 50 enemies with Stop. Depending on how this is, I'm probably going to skip it, to be honest with you, but straightforward General Grievous squad. Stop has an AoE on the first special, so hopefully that will come into play, especially, like I said, if Amplify Agony is still in here. And then if that is the case, then I'm hoping we can do something like a Lord Vader lead or a Reva lead with Thrawn and swap turn meter to Stop so that they can just AoE once the Amplify Agony has kicked in to kind of, bring everyone down to basically dead, and Stop can get the kills that way. I'm thinking you might be able to also get away with doing like a Tusken Chieftain lead, since Tusken Chieftain has dark side characters assist, and hopefully Stop will be able to snipe some kills that way. It's just a matter of survivability. Keeping in mind with this feat in particular, the Sector 1 boss node is a Night Sister node, and apparently it looks like it has zombie on it as of right now, so hopefully that doesn't change. If that's the case, we might be able to get away with cheesing a little bit on that, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so let's look at the sectors now, because those are the overall global feats. It's pretty straightforward. And like I said, they're going to be able to double dip into the sectors. So Sector 1, again, at the top, I just like to put Bam Han Chewie there for Jedi, Sith, unaligned Force users not using them and having survivable feats, just as like a reminder. But in Sector 1, we need to defeat 50 enemies with Jedi units, gain defense up 80 times, attempt to inflict armor shred 30 times, which is nice and somewhat low, and then gain secret intel 80 times. So really straightforward. The first team I have here is a Rey resistance squad just to get secret intel rolling. It's only going to come from BB-8, so you need BB-8 on a squad. You could put BB-8 on like a General Grievous team if you wanted to, but I figured this way at least like just put them on resistance and call it good. And then you have this Jedi Master Luke team. So I really like this because one, it's a full Jedi squad, so you need to defeat 50 enemies there. So we're covered. No matter who gets the kill here, it's counting towards the 50 units. This also is going to count towards defense up because of Jedi Master Luke's unique. It's going to count towards armor shred because we have General Skywalker there. We have Cam there. Jedi Cal also puts armor shred out there. So you're able to kind of get a little bit of everything with this here, except for secret intel, to be honest with you. Then you have this Jedi Master Kenobi Jedi team. Again, I'm keeping Kat off of it because I want a full Jedi squad just to make sure anyone who gets the kills is contributing towards that 50 enemies. But I like this as well because, again, you're getting the armor shred from Gas and from Cam. And then it is a full Galactic Republic squad, so it's going to double dip towards that 40 battles that you need for the global feat. And then just your stereotypical defense up Clone Wars Chewie lead. So usually I run this with some dark side characters, some dark side tanks like Malak on there. Because of Clone Wars Chewie lead getting defense up, you usually are able to do this usually in one battle, but because it's 80 times, it might be more like 2. However, because I put all Galactic Republic tanks here with him, it counts as a full squad of Galactic Republic characters for the global feat. So if you do happen to pull out the win, at least you're getting a double dip that way while you're also working towards defense up. Okay, so those are the main Sector 1 feats. In terms of the bosses, on the mini boss, you're going to win with Hermit Yoda surviving. And then you have to win without any Jedi, Sith, unaligned Force users. So you have to do that one twice. And then on the boss, you can do this in one go, theoretically. Win with T3M4 surviving and win without using a Galactic Legend. So again, I'm pretty sure that is the Night Sister boss. So keep that in mind when you're going through for Sector 1. Okay, let's look at Sector 2. So Sector 2, we need to win 14 battles with no attackers on our squad, evade at least 100 attacks in battles that you've won, and attempt to inflict plague 400 times and gain health steal up 60 times. So pretty straightforward. First squad at the top is Padme, so this is going to double dip to your Galactic Republic global feat. You're going to get your 14 battles with no attackers this way because, again, there's no attackers on the squad. You are going to get evade since Grandmaster Yoda is pumping out Foresight. R2-D2 is going to pump out Foresight with whoever he chooses to leave out in his stealth. So you're able to get some that way. The other thing you could do with this squad as well is if you go against an enemy squad that has health steal up on it, so something with like a Palpatine or a General Grievous or anything, you could steal the health steal up from your enemy and spread it with Grandmaster Yoda. So just keep that in mind as well when you're planning. Okay, Plague 400 times. Obviously, that's going to be your Night Sisters. And the great thing with Night Sisters as well is they also count as no attackers. So you're going to be able to do both of those feats with the one squad there too. And then we have this lovely Palpatine squad here. So Palpatine and Visas are going to generate your health steal up. They both are able to do that for you. And then Grandmaster Yoda is able to spread it around to the entire team as well. So you're able to kind of just churn through it pretty quickly. He's also giving them Foresight, so you're going to be able to evade any attacks that way. And then if you just need another evasion squad, if you want, again, it's evading at least 100 attacks. So I like to do a Qui-Gon lead. I like to put Jedi Master Luke there just to have like a big meaty tank there. But usually it's just a Qui-Gon lead. Hermit Yoda is also able to do Foresight. And I like having Shock there because she can actually provide some survivability. And if you were to put a attacker on this squad, you could use her first special on them and they would gain stealth and evade that way. But personally, I just have her there for survivability. So again, that's the meat of the feats there for Sector 2. In terms of the bosses, on the mini boss, you're going to do it twice because one is to win with 5 surviving, the clone trooper, and one is to win with only dark side characters. So you're doing that one twice. And then on the boss, you can actually do this in one feat if you want, or in one battle. The one feat is to win with Cad Bane and Aura Singh surviving, and then the other half of it is no Jedi, Sith, or unaligned Force users. Since Cad Bane and Aura Singh aren't any of those, as long as you don't use anyone else that is, you'd be good to go. So that would be like a Bam Han Chewie probably. Would work really nicely. Okay, so Sector 3. In Sector 3, we need to defeat 50 enemies with droid units. We need to gain momentum 1,000 times, which sounds daunting, but it should be okay. Attempt to inflict purge 300 times, so our Inquisitors are coming back, and gain foresight 300 times. Again, all pretty straightforward. So for droids, I did a General Grievous team. I took out Droidica and subbed in Stop. If there is a better configuration for that team, then by all means, I would do that. The reason why I'm putting Stop there is to try to double dip if you want with the global feat where you need to defeat 50 enemies with Stop. But again, General Grievous here is going to usually just walks through the Conquest nodes anyway, so you're going to be able to get the droid kills that way. Hopefully Stop gets some if you're working towards the global feat. Momentum 1,000 times is going to come from Tuskens. It's the only squad that's going to get you this feat done. And it's going to be pretty straightforward. I like to use the Tuskens against Imperial Trooper teams, Karth Old Republic teams, and Mon Mothma teams. So teams that generate turn meter, especially if you have the Tusken Chieftain lead Zeta, you're going to stun lock the enemy anyway. So it's not really necessarily about survivability. It's more about just generating momentum on your team. And you can get a lot of it that way against those squads in particular. And it's probably going to take a few battles, to be honest with you, but it is going to be doable. And at least we don't have to win, so that counts. Okay, so Purge 300 times. This is going to come from your Inquisitors. If you have a Reva unlock, then you're going to want to use your Reva lead, to be honest, because you're going to start with all of the Purge right away. Otherwise, you're going to be looking at either your Grand Inquisitor or your other Inquisitors as your lead, depending on what you're doing. You're going to be able to get this feat done as well if you don't have Reva or Grand Inquisitor. It is going to be doable. You're able to do it with like a 9th sister lead against Jedi or a 5th brother lead. So things like that are, I don't want to say cheesable because it will be a little grindy, but it will work. So just keep that in mind. But obviously, depending on your roster, it's going to fluctuate a little bit. Okay, and then gaining foresight 300 times. I put this Padme squad here again. That was from the global feats. So again, it's going to get you the Galactic Republic tag for the 40 battles, winning that way. And then the foresight is going to be coming from Grandmaster Yoda. You're also going to get foresight from R2-D2 with whoever he chooses to leave out in the open when he does his stealth. Just keep that in mind. And then you can also do a Qui-Gon lead and choose to just go that way with foresight as well. And that will hopefully help you catch up a little bit on that. But that is that for all of the feats. And then in terms of the bosses here on the mini boss, again, you can do this in one fight if you wanted to. The first feat is winning with Boba Fett, Scion of Jango, so Dad Bod Boba surviving. And then the next one is no Jedi, Sith, or unaligned Force users on your squad, which since he is not, again, just don't add any of those and you'll be good. And then the boss, you can also do in one feat if you wanted, or in one battle, sorry. Win the battle with Boss Nass surviving. So I know we've all just gotten him and he's probably pretty weak for us. So I would probably come back to this once you got your discs sorted. And then win without using a Galactic Legend in your squad. Assuming Volatile Accelerator and Amplify Agni are still a thing, I think the easiest way you're going to get through that is Bam Han Chewie, depending on the boss there. And then Boss Nass surviving, obviously. You could do something like Rey with as well, depending on how geared up your Boss Nass is, how many stars they are. Since he is light side, he would theoretically get the damage immunity from her leadership as well. Okay, so Sector 4, and we are almost there. Sector 4, we need to defeat 50 enemies with Imperial Trooper units, attempt to inflict ability block 60 times, gain stealth 120 times, and then win at least 14 battles with a full squad of Rebel units. So 2 squads right off the bat that have Imperial troopers. You've got your standard General Veer's Imperial trooper team. And you're also going to be able to gain stealth a little bit with this team because Admiral Piet gives it to himself. And then you have the Imperial Remnant team below with Dark Trooper Moff Gideon as the leader. And that also gets you stealth because of Dark Trooper Moff Gideon there. Whenever it does require the other troopers to die, they are revived with stealth. So keep that in mind and you'll be able to gain it that way. The one thing to keep in mind if you are going to do a Dark Trooper Moff Gideon lead is to remember that Dark Trooper Moff Gideon does not have the Imperial Trooper tag. He only has the Imperial Remnant tag. So any kills with him would not count towards the defeating 50 enemies. The rest of the squad, though, is tagged Imperial Trooper. So if you can get them to get the kill shots off, you will be golden. Okay, and then you have a full Jedi Master Luke Jedi squad here, which is going to get you ability block and stealth. Obviously, you have ability block from Jedi Master Luke's AoE, and then you have stealth on Shaak Ti, her first special. If you target an attacker, they will gain stealth. So Jedi Knight Luke and Jedi Knight Cal here are both going to be the targets, and they would gain stealth that way. And then Hermit Yoda, whenever he gives out Master's Training, he's gaining stealth as well. So there is that. And then you have a ability block stealth team here that's Rey. So obviously Jedi Training Rey has the ability block on her special, which is just a single target ability block. Stealth is going to come from R2, and we'll be able to get a few more that way. And then I threw in Obi-Wan Kenobi, so Old Ben here, because he has an AoE ability block. And then General Skywalker also has an AoE ability block. Again, keeping in mind that they might, especially General Skywalker, kill the enemies. And if that's the case, it won't count for the attempt to inflict. So you just want to keep that in mind while you're doing this. But just to give you another option. Okay. 14 battles with rebels, pretty straightforward. CLS Rebel Squad, it's gonna get you. They do great work in Conquest, and then you have stealth because of C-3PO. It's a single target. I believe it'll just be C-3PO gaining it, if I'm remembering correctly off the top of my head. But at least it's counting towards a little bit. And then you have the Leia Organa Galactic Legend team for Rebels, stealth from R2-D2, and then ability block from Old Ben. So that will also help you get through Sector 4. In terms of the feats on the mini boss, you'll have to do it twice. One of them is to win with Jedi Knight Cal surviving, and then the other half, no Jedi, Sith, unaligned Force users. So you're going twice there. On the boss, you're going to go twice as well. One to win with Dark Trooper Moff Gideon surviving, and the other one to win with only light side characters. So no double dipping on the bosses in Sector 4. Okay, let's look at Sector 5, and we will be done. So defeat 50 enemies with Inquisitorius units. Like I said, Inquisitors are back. Win 14 battles with no tanks in your squad. Attempt to inflict blind 80 times, and then attempt to inflict evasion down 80 times. So I put in this Grand Inquisitor squad here. Obviously, you can do what you want in terms of Inquisitors to get the kills. The reason why I picked this one in particular is because it's going to double dip into having no tanks on the squad. So there's no Ninth Sister and there's no Reva. Obviously, if you want to add them, feel free. You're just not double dipping. And then Eighth Brother is capable of inflicting blind on Jedi enemies. So if you're going against a Jedi squad, you'll be able to get some blind in that way. If you want to double dip for your global feats and get Galactic Republic in, you could do the Jedi Master Kenobi team. I purposely left off a tank so that we could not have to worry about that. And then you're getting your 14 battles that way as well. CLS Rebels also are able to do blind and evasion down. It's also no tank. So a lot of this is coming from Chupio. He's got his AoE blind, and then his basic is going to give evasion down. And his basic, he hits all the time because he's pretty much always assisting. So he is one of the fastest ways to get evasion down done. And then I just also threw in Jedi Master Luke with Old Ben down here. Obviously, this isn't going to count towards your no tanks, but if you just need to bang out the evasion down, Old Ben has it on his basic. So if you can take a Jedi Master Luke squad with him and just constantly call him, you're going to be laughing and get this evasion done pretty quickly. But again, I honestly don't anticipate it taking too long because of the CLS Rebel squad, in my opinion. Old Ben, it's just going to go pretty quick. Okay, and then the bosses. On the mini boss in Sector 5, you need to do this twice. So one is winning with Darth Bane surviving, and then the other half is no Jedi Sith unaligned Force users. And then on the boss, you have winning with Bo-Katan Mandalore surviving. So if you have not unlocked her yet, that's 5 points just to deduct from your total there. And then win without using a Galactic Legend in your squad. So you could theoretically do the boss feat in one battle if you wanted to. And again, keeping in mind that it looks like the boss feat in Sector 5, the winning without using Galactic Legend, as of right now, the data mine is saying that is giving 4 points. It's usually 5. Whether or not that's intentional, like I said earlier, we don't know, but that means you can only skip 33 points instead of the usual 34. Okay, so that is all of the sectors, all of the feats. We covered it all. And that's it. So again, what I like to do is look at this sheet, go over and automatically cross out the feats that you absolutely cannot do. So if you don't have Jedi Cal, if you don't have Bo-Katan Mandalore, like you can't get those feats done, cross them off because that's going to lower your total points that you can miss. And that way you can plan it out that way. Personally, I'm probably going to skip the 50 enemies with stop depending on what it looks like. In terms of how doable it is with a low geared, low star stop and the cheese. But honestly, I think a lot of this is doable. It looks pretty good so far, assuming you have the characters to get those survivability feats done. So again, guys, this is going to start on Monday. So I am going to be back next week. I am going to do the sector breakdowns for each sector like I usually do when I skipped last time. But I will be back for that next week. And like I said, hopefully this planning is helpful. Hopefully it helps you get a jump start. And if you have any questions, if you're getting stuck, by all means, like I've said a billion times before, please hop into the Discord server because there are a ton of us that are willing to help out. Obviously, we just want you to get as far as possible and get the crate that you're going for. So, again, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next week.